I'm joined by former White House press secretary and host of the Sean Spicer Show, Sean Spicer. Sean, thanks so much for joining me on the U.S. Report. President Biden has welcomed Xi Jinping to the U.S. for the APEC summit in San Francisco. The two leaders met in an effort to thaw tension. Now, Biden has hailed the talks as a success, touting agreements on curbing fentanyl production and restoring military communications. But how did you rate the trip and the summit?
Well, James, it's actually interesting. There were two things that I thought were telling about this. One is they defined success by whether or not Xi Jinping would take President Biden's phone call. I mean, it was like, you need to unblock me on social media. You need to be my friend again. That was the definition of success. I mean, literally, you won't take my call anymore. That was how bad. And remember, Joe Biden was supposed to be the foreign policy guy, the guy that was going to reset our relationships with countries around the world after disastrous 4 years of Donald Trump. And yet, here he is, not able to get a phone call returned from President Xi. Then, and you saw this, every aspect of this trip was completely scripted, down to what flowers were out, how high the grass was cut. And he scripts it to the nth degree. And then Biden walks off stage, off of that press avail that he does. And he's almost off stage, and he turns around to the reporters and asks that one question that his staff was going to cringe on. Will you still call Xi Jinping a dictator? And he says, yes, he's a dictator. Undermines every ounce of planning that was done. Immediately, the Chinese put out a statement saying that that was politically corrosive. And here we go. If the entire goal was to get the relationship back on track, which is pathetic that that's what it was, you just blew it by an offhanded comment. Yes, Xi Jinping's a dictator, don't get me wrong. But the idea that Biden blew it, it's just, he literally got in his own way to hit a bar that was unbelievably low, James.
Well, Sean, I mean, come on, you say that, you cast some aspersions on Joe Biden's foreign policy expertise, but look at how much better and more safe the world has become in the last 3 years since Donald Trump. Seriously.
You're not, I can't tell. Are you talking about North Korea, Iran? Are you talking
exactly.
About Taiwan,
Exactly.
China, Russia, and Ukraine? I can't keep it straight, but none of those were...
But on this question of whether or not Xi Jinping is a dictator, I want to play this little bit here where we see him answer the question. But watch Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State's face, as Joe Biden answers this question. Take a look at this.
Mr. President, after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is the guy who runs a country that is a communist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours.
You can almost see him physically in pain there as he said those words.
You know why I don't? Because there's two things. One, he said it. Blinken is sitting there saying, all of this, all of my hard work, my staff's hard work, precisely guiding every movement, every word, every image that was seen down the drain. But as I said, here's the kicker. Biden left the podium. He was done. He said, I'm not taking any more questions. And then he stopped, turned around, and took it. It was like, oh, you were 2 steps away. 2 steps away from not screwing this up. And his Secretary of State is sitting there saying, please just keep walking, Joe.